Okay, so welcome everyone to Coaching 101, why soft skills matter and how to develop them. Today we're going to be with Aaron and Jess. We're going to have a nice discussion about soft skills and how we can develop them. So I'm going to hand over to Aaron now. Aaron, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mariana. Delighted to be here and also be joined by Jazz from Deriv. So, look, as Mariana has said, my name is Aaron. I'm the account management team lead here at Scorebuddy. And Jazz, would you maybe like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Aaron. Hi, everyone. I'm Jazmin. I am the manager for quality and training team at Deriv. Deriv is one of the biggest online brokers around the world. We are all around the world. I have been in the company for around 3 years now, almost 3 years. I will be joining that very soon. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jazz. So on the next slide, we're just going to take you through what the agenda is for today's session. So firstly, we'll be talking about the importance of soft skills in the contact center and what the most important soft skills are. We will then go through how to identify coaching opportunities within your team with a little bit of feedback from Jazz on what she's currently doing. And then we will go through how to prepare coaching sessions for agents. And then at the end, we'll have a bit of time for a Q&A if you have any questions for myself or Jazz. So on the next slide, the first item we're going to cover is the importance of soft skills in the contact center. And to highlight that, I just wanted to talk to you about a comment that was made by Susan Collins, who is the Director of Talent Acquisition and Employee Branding at Talbot's. And they had conducted an employee survey with some pretty stark findings. And you'll see that highlighted in the comment here. 97% of employees surveyed said that soft skills were either as important or more important than hard skills. However, 46% of new employees fail within 18 months. And of these, 89% fail because of a lack of soft skills, such as professionalism or the ability to get along with others. So again, if that doesn't highlight the importance of soft skills within contact center, I don't know what will. Jazz, what's your thoughts on that as a starting comment?
I would actually agree full-heartedly with this, 100%. Soft skills is extremely important, and it's the biggest cause of issue that we see within our company.
Perfect. And then on the next slide, we do have just a quick poll to start off with. And the first poll being, what's the importance of soft skills in agents development? So I'll be quite intrigued to see what the general consensus is within the people in attendance. So the two options being, it's a big focus in the organization, or we usually focus on training hard skills. Okay, seen some interesting responses so far. A 50-50 split, would you believe?
Wow.
What's your thoughts on that, Jazmin?
Very interesting, to be honest. I would understand why training on hard skills would be the main focus, but soft skills is still very, very important, I would say.
Okay, perfect. So look, moving on to the next slide then, Mariana. We're going to look at the most important soft skills in a contact center. So at Scorebuddy, we had done some research into this. We have a blog on our website related to it as well. I wanted to talk to you about those findings. So we found that 7 soft skills the call center agents needed the most were: number 1, the ability to communicate; number 2, the ability to learn; number 3, the ability to meet goals set by others; 4, the ability to work in a structured environment; and 5, the ability to find answers; 6, flexibility; and 7, problem solving skills. So I think from my own experience, communication is key. I would have absolutely expected that to be in there. Are there any surprises in there for yourself, Jazz?
No big surprises. I would say that the number 1 is indeed communication. 2 that are quite new to me would be the ability to meet goals set by others. That is a very nice way of putting things, I would say. Nice way of wording it. But yeah.
Perfect. And just on the next slide then, Mariana. wanted to talk to you about how you can identify coaching opportunities in your team. So, Jazz, that's a question for yourself, given that you're living this on a daily basis. What's your starting point for identifying coaching opportunities in your team?
So for us, the coaching opportunities mainly start with the quality assurance team. And for us, every quality check that we do for any chat, any ticket, or any communication with clients in general is a chance for a coaching session indeed. So we believe in you have to act fast, especially when it comes to soft skills. If we identify any really bad quality check, for example, we will then go into searching for a pattern. And if we identify it, we will conduct the coaching session as soon as possible.
Perfect. Thank you, Jazz. Yeah, and I would agree with everything you've said there. It's about identifying trends rather than singular cases. And I think on the next slide, we're going to go into a bit of detail about the importance of quality in identifying those development opportunities. I think it's integral to coaching. You know, you have dedicated sections within your scorecards, for example, that would be based on soft skills. Of course, you'll have it there for the hard skills as well. But reporting being the key aspect of it, identifying trends, identifying the root cause of particular failures. But something that came to light, I think, in particular over the last couple of years with the shift to remote working was keeping agents engaged within that process. What would your take be on the importance of QA then within this process, Jazz?
Our QA is the basic of everything. Like you said, the scorecard is super important. Keeping a structured scorecard and updating your scorecard as well is super important. So in our particular case, we have around 15 to 16 categories in our scorecard, out of which, at least in one way or another, half of them are related to soft skills. So how you greet, whether you're being clear when you're explaining things to the clients, whether our agents are understanding what the client's needs actually are. So maybe they're saying something, but what they really need is something else. Or maybe we can see something else, and what we really need to do is listen to the client. So the agents having the ability to comply to what the client needs is very, very important. The grammatical aspect is to some extent some important, and the tone and empathy as well, extremely important, I would say.
Perfect. And I think kind of moving on from that, what would you say is the importance of tech within coaching and soft skills?
I would say the main two advantages, and tech is a must. I mean, in the past, we were using spreadsheets to do QA work, and it was a nightmare, especially when you have a growing team. At the time, our CS department is more than 100 agents, which you can see why using spreadsheets would make things impossible, to be honest. So when it comes to tech and using software for QA, two things are very important. One, the ability to automate, so the ability to locate things faster, to automate processes, to not have to copy and paste the same information into different spreadsheets, and the ability to get information out of that as well. So, like you said, reporting. So, from the data that I get from doing quality checks, what am I getting out of it? How am I using that? Tech is crucial for coachings, for QA in general.
I'd agree. Yeah, look, we all know the headaches that spreadsheets can cause, in particular when it comes to trying to collate data for reporting purposes. But not only that, like engagement within management, QAs, agents, you know, errors can happen on spreadsheets.
Yes. And
Just moving on.
visibility as well, I would say. So one thing that I really honestly like about Scorebuddy are the calibration sessions. That is something we use a lot. So getting the agents involved in the process. We also started using the self-scoring for some particular cases. So when we notice that an agent is not understanding the scorecard, even though we do offer training for it, sometimes you forget or it's been a while, you need a refresher. We found that the calibrations and the self-scoring options helped us tremendously to improve our overall scores.
You've raised a very, very good point there, Jazz. Yeah, the self-scoring when it comes to coaching and giving people an understanding of what the expectations are from them when they're speaking to customers is key. the self-calibration as well is also key on that aspect. The next slide is in relation to Deriv. How do you prepare coaching sessions for agents?
So we use the appraisal template that you guys offer as a baseline. So we use the information from there. We check all of the chats, all of the tickets that we did a quality check for in the past month. If needed, like if, for example, a QA agent or a trainer as well notices something specific, so something rare with this agent, they will jump in and do some additional checks on live chat. And then they will add details, add more information to the template itself if needed, and especially during the conversation with an agent. So when the coaching section actually takes place, something that we make very clear to our trainers and to our QA team is that the space is for the agents. It's not for them. It's not to judge them. It's not to put any pressure on them. We're there to help them, and helping them entails listening to them. So it's a space where they can talk, they can share their own struggles, and then we see how we can help them. Okay, so maybe we have some courses that you can do. We assign courses. Maybe we have a little task that you can do. And after the coaching is done, we then monitor that for a month period of time. If after that period of time the agent improved, then that's great. Everyone's happy.
Absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned about the appraisals functionality. I know that follows the GROW methodology when it comes to coaching. Are there any other methodologies that you think are key to coaching, or any other recommendations you could make on that?
Keeping an open mind, reading a lot. I have a background in psychology, and honestly, that has helped me tremendously when it comes to coaching, especially soft skills. It's not something that you can just refer to a manual and say, hey, it's written down here. Why didn't you do it? You know, you have to develop these things, and you also need to understand that everyone comes from a different background and a different life experience, and that is going to affect how you do the coaching session. So it's really important to not have a one size fits all perspective into soft skills. You have to address it on an individual level. Everyone is going to be different, and their needs are going to be different as well.
Yeah, look, that's a really good point. Very interesting in relation to the psychology degree. I'd imagine that is really, really beneficial when it comes to coaching, because you've said there, everybody's different. Everybody has different needs and expectations from their daily lives, let alone their jobs. So really, really good point you've made there. In terms of the next slide, I think it's another poll, if I'm not mistaken, Mariana. And we're going to find out now, how often do you coach your agents? Okay, so the options being weekly, monthly, or quarterly.
Oh, this one's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So look, the findings from that poll are that 41% of you do the coaching weekly, 47% do it monthly, and 2% do it quarterly. I think, yeah, I would have expected monthly to be the highest scoring option on that. And any surprises there for you?
I was actually expecting monthly to go way higher than the rest, to be honest.
Yeah.
When it comes to time flexibility and going back to the same thing, I think monthly is a good period of time to check back, reflect, get feedback, and move on from there as well.
Perfect. And then the two with quarterly as well. So 12% of people saying that they conduct coaching quarterly. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so just on the next slide then, Mariana, we have the top tips for coaching soft skills in your contact center. So you've obviously given a couple of insights already, Jazz. Are there any other recommendations or tips that you have for people in attendance to get the best out of their employees?
Yes, so keeping your mind open is the most important thing. And when I'm saying keeping your mind open, that also means on the approach and on what you see as a coaching session itself. Coaching sessions are really useful on an individual level, but you also need to come up with a way, or at least I would suggest coming up with a way or a space to keep your CS team happy. That is very important. It is very hard to develop and maintain a high level of soft skills if your team is stressed, is burnt out, they don't have anywhere to vent out. Everyone here is in some way or another within the customer support world, even if you're just a client. And you will know that clients can be difficult. We can be difficult as clients. They complain, they're angry, they yell, and customer support agents are the first line of receiving all of that negative energy. So making sure as a preemptive measure that your team is happy, that they are engaged with your organization, that they believe in your values is very important, so that the amount of coachings that you need to do on a one-on-one basis is reduced as much as possible. On our company's level, we have different ways in which we do this. So we are very keen on positive recognition. We try to be on the lookout for anything that can be recognized for our agents, for our team leads, for our non-operational teams as well. And we also have created some Slack channels where agents can just wind down, share some funny screenshots. Clients can be funny as well as angry. So they share things, they vent out. If clients were just being rude, they will say. Having a support group for your CS team is extremely important. So instructing your team leads and your management overall to understand that, yeah, you're their supervisor, but you also need to accompany them, and you're also there to see them grow. And a big part of seeing people grow is having that understanding of saying, okay, maybe this was a bad day for you and you were not up to the expectations that we have. But if that person is good, keep them motivated, keep them happy. And at the end of the day, that happiness that you brought onto your team will be reflected onto the clients and the overall brand perception as well.
I think you mentioned a really key point there that, quite often we can fall into the trap of looking for what's wrong within the customer interactions instead of actually positively reinforcing what people are doing right, using them as a benchmark then for others to, rely on and aspire to be like. So, yeah, I think that's a really, really good point. Positive reinforcement, not only looking for what's going wrong. I think just before we move on to the next part, I did have one other question for you, Jazz, and it's in relation to, in your opinion, do you think that there's any misconceptions or pitfalls that organizations should avoid when they're trying to develop soft skills?
When they're trying to develop soft skills, I would say one size fits all. I will keep making a point on that. Don't, or try to avoid as much as you can, putting all of your agents or your entire team into one same place or one same, criteria ball, let's say. That would be my number one thing. The other one would be, don't rely too much on templates. Templates are there. Yeah, they can be helpful for repetitive messages. But one of the things that I've noticed clients really dislike, even though AI is on the rise, is sounding like one. So when you use a lot of templates and you don't listen to the person in front of you and reply based on what they're saying back to you, clients will notice super fast. They will be, oh, this is an AI, or they will doubt your team. Even though they're talking to a live person, they will not be convinced that they're talking to someone live. And it's understandable. I mean, they have no way of proving that the icon they're seeing, if it's a chat, of course, they have no way of proving that they're actually talking to someone. It could just be a chatbot having the name Mary or Samantha or something like that. So I would say don't use templates, or if you can, make your templates as flexible as possible, and don't judge your entire team by the same standards. Take a look at an individual level. Yes, we all have KPIs to follow, and they are very important, but understanding everyone's subjectivities is just as important as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Jazz. And just to kind of follow on to that, I know that I've been in jobs in the past where coaching was quite one-sided. It was you being told how to do things. But do you think that it's important that you allow agents to respond to the feedback?
Extremely important. Communication is a two-way street. Even if your agent is not allowed to say anything, they are still thinking something. They're still giving some feedback in one way or another, be it to your face or around it in a way. So I would say listening to your agent is extremely important, and every coaching session should provide a space where the agent can explain itself and where they can just share what's going on with them as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Jazz. So I think next we're going to just move on to the Q&A. Is that right, Mariana? Just while we're waiting for those to come in, Jazz, do you mind if I ask you one more question?
Of course, go ahead. That's why I'm here.
Um, Look, I think quite topical in relation to what we've experienced over the last couple of years. In your experience, how have customer expectations evolved in recent years, and how do those changes then emphasize the importance of particular soft skills within agents?
So I would say there is a growing trend of keeping things informal, sounding human. That is something that clients really like to see. In the past, it would be more common, I would say, to see customer support as a I'm below you and I need to be extremely formal, or you are like my boss. I need to treat my client like I would treat my boss. So I would use sir a lot. I would use madam a lot. I would be very serious about my conversations. Nowadays, with the internet being so outside and the way in which we communicate is not like that anymore. Even with your own boss, or at least with me, with myself, it's easier to talk to more on a friendly level. And that's what clients also want, just to be heard, understood by another human being that's on their same level. They don't really want to be treated as masters or big authorities. They want to be seen and they want their needs to be met. Another thing that I would say is speed. So how fast you are at solving their issues is something
Yeah.
that, and it's something that I've read recently. I cannot quote what article it was because I can't remember exactly, but it is something that I read that in the past the expectations were a bit slower. So if you were to say, "Oh, I'm going to get this solved in 1 day or in 2 days," you would be met with more patience and acceptance. Nowadays, if you say 2 days, it's like an eternity for a client.
Mm.
2 days, no, impossible. If you cannot solve it today, if you cannot solve it in 1 hour, it will, they're more impatient than they were in the past. I would say those two things mainly.
I completely agree with you. And like, previously you would have sent, let's say, an email to your utility provider, for example, and you get that automated response saying we'll respond to you within 2 to 5 working days. That is outside customer expectations, I would say, nowadays. And not only that, the ability to contact you using a multitude of different channels, which obviously then
Yes.
requires different types of soft skills depending on what channel the customer's reaching out to you on. So yeah, thank you for those insights, Jazz. Mariana, have you any questions that have come in from anybody in attendance?
Yes, we do. So Ro asked, would QA team score and evaluate a coaching opportunity for soft skills? Because his team has some mixed feelings about it. He said they would not score coaching opportunities. So
Could
I'll
you?
take. Sorry, Jazz. I think that the question was, should the QA team be the ones
yeah,
providing the coaching?
Oh, okay.
I'll take that and
if
then
they
maybe hand
should
over to
if they
yourself.
should score and evaluating the coaching
Oh, okay.
opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that should be, yeah, the QA would obviously conduct the initial evaluations, but from my experience then the supervisors would take over the coaching aspect. So their team lead. Now, there are cases where people will do both. Your supervisor is the person conducting the initial evaluations, therefore they'll be conducting the coaching as well. And then I think maybe it depends on the size of the organization. Your QA team would look after QA evaluations and QA evaluations alone. What's your experience in that, Jazz?
Honestly, I have never thought of the chance of scoring a coaching session itself.
Hmm.
It's something that I would go against actually. Coaching spaces should be there to listen to both sides and to focus on improvement and growth, not on judging. Quality checks are there to check on the level of quality, and that should be the focus. But I also agree with what Aaron was saying. It really depends on the size of the team. In our particular case, it's either the QA team or the training team that conducts the coaching sessions, but definitely the supervisor also has a role in that. They will do follow-ups, they will have additional one-on-ones and keep a closer eye on the feedback and the improvements that are being made. However, we don't leave the entire responsibility to the team lead. If it's a smaller organization, most likely that would be the case. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Jazz. I hope that answered the question there, but anything else then, Mariana?
Yes. So we have a question about Simon asked the question. He asked, one of the main issues that they have is agents filling in long silences on calls. Sometimes this may be lack of knowledge, sometimes the nature of the call inquiry. And if you can give any recommendations or advice on how to fill this sad silence.
Oh, this would be on call centers, I'm imagining, right? So I don't have any personal experience with the call centers. We mainly focus on doing chats and email replies. However, if I were to say on a more personal basis, keeping your client informed that you're making checks or what you're doing would help out with that. So maybe instructing your agents to keep the client informed. I'm just checking your case, allow me 2-3 minutes, and making sure that they're following up with the time that they're saying. Especially if you're having angry clients, they can be very precise with time. If you say 5 minutes, they will be looking at the clock and expecting a reply in 5 minutes. So try to make sure that your team is aware of this and that they are replying or saying, just 1 moment, I'm on the line, I'm with you, I'm checking your case, just 2 more minutes. So keeping your client informed about that.
Absolutely. And then I suppose in my own experience within a contact center, what we found was key in that aspect was building out an FAQ or frequently asked questions, the difficult ones that come in that are curveballs, we'll say, and that can lead to silences on calls. Really important to build out FAQs and make that readily available to agents so that they can search for a particular type of query that has come up that they haven't encountered before.
Good. And we have a question, and this one would be for Aaron, because it's more Scorebuddy specific. So they're asking if it's possible to pull a report to show how many employees are failing and specific criteria on the dashboard.
In short, yes, absolutely. So you can utilize root cause analysis, firstly, to identify what's causing failures. But there's many different ways that you can report on individual failures, whether those are associated with compliance type questions, whether they're based on specific sections or questions. There's lots of different ways you can do it, and some of them are readily available within Scorebuddy at the moment. We also have Scorebuddy BI, which has recently been beta tested, which would allow you to build out specific reports based on what your requirements are. So if there's something that you see that's not readily available within the existing reports, it would be available within Scorebuddy BI.
I can vouch for Scorebuddy BI, to be honest. You can get a lot of information from there.
Okay, thank you. And now another question about scoring. So if the scoring should be sectioned, in your opinion, if the scoring should be sectioned by hard skills versus soft skills or by the flow of the call?
That's very interesting. So
Yeah.
in my experience, we mainly do it based on the flow of the call, at least to some degree. So our first category is greeting and our last category is closing statement. However, in the middle, we kind of group them based on topic, not so much on flow of the conversation or soft and hard skills. We have a section that is for greeting. We have one that is for account verification. So making sure that you are navigating all of our systems, that you're making all the checks that you need to make. We have the section that is focused on tone and empathy, which are the categories that I've already mentioned in the past. And then last but not least, we have one that is focused on resolution, under which we have about 5 or 6 categories as well.
Very good. Yeah, I do think that having them built out as best you can to coincide with the flow of the call, because it just makes that scoring process that bit easier for the QA conducting it as well. And just I know I kind of skipped over this on the last question in relation to the Scorebuddy reporting. Whoever had that question, feel free to reach out to your account manager or myself. We'd be happy to talk you through how that can be done in Scorebuddy. Mariana, anything else then that has come in?
So that's it for the questions, and we have some comments. So I'd like to thank everyone that took their time to share their experience with us. So, for example, one interesting comment is that in the company, um, they train they train their quality coaches on how to coach, and they do evaluations and look for trends and opportunity for development. And they found out that leaders do not do great when coaching, so they do the other way around. I think that's really interesting. Thanks for your input. Yeah, and that's it. And also, Hannah told something, made a super important comment about how important it is to evaluate also the voice sounds, so the acoustic parameters like pace, pauses, and melody, and how important this is on the phone, because charismatic speaking is a really important soft skill as well. So thanks, Hannah.
Tonality is key. Yeah, absolutely. You know, we don't want to be sounding robotic talking to clients. Yeah, thank you, Hannah.
Thanks. So that's it. And I would like to thank first Jazz and Aaron for this session. It was really great. We had uh, a lot of great input from Jazz, a lot of great tips, and so I really want to thank both of you, and also thank everyone that participated and attended this webinar, and also the ones that engaged and sent us questions. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you, Jazz. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mariana. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.